Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on DC TV and just the Arrowverse in general, because it's some Crisis on Infinite Earth stuff. So it only feels like yesterday that we were watching the opening 3 parts of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then we're left on that cliffhanger, as well as just left in the abyss, if you want to call it, as we headed into like a 5 or 6 week break, whatever it was, until we got the conclusion and wrap up to the story. But that wrap up and conclusion to the story is only just over a week away. Actually, it's about a week and a half away from now. Now, I'm sure we are all excited to see how the Crisis event, wraps up, as well as just how the future of the Arrowverse is set up in general, which does intrigue me a lot, of course. But in this video, we are going to be going over some new promo material released for Part 4 for Crisis. No Part 5 stuff, which I think is understandable, as that would have a lot of spoilery stuff, and I think it would be pretty damn difficult to show anything from that episode that couldn't be twisted as a spoiler in some way. And also, both parts were on the same night, so you're not really advertising another night. They're all on the same night, so I don't think there's any need to really show anything specific for Part 5. But of course, throughout the video, it would be awesome if you could let me know all of your various opinions in the comment section down below. Any various theories you might have, let me know all of them in the comment section down below. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on the video. It'd be greatly appreciated. But firstly, we'll just quickly read out the synopsis for this episode if you hadn't read it yet or heard it yet. So yeah. Stuck in the vanishing point, the Paragons search for a way to escape. The futility of the situation is compounded by the Flash's disappearance. However, hope appears in the form of Oliver, who reveals that he has become something else. Meanwhile, the origin stories for the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor are revealed. So what we got released was some promo images. I think there's about 15 here, 14 or 15, one of the two. So we're just going to go through them, and yeah, so the first promo image we have here is Martian Manhunter, or John Jones, as well as Sarah Lance White Canary. It's pretty standard. I'll talk about the area they're in a second. The next image we have is of all 7 Paragons. So we have Supergirl, Lex Luthor, Ryan Choice sporting the beard, which we'll come back to in a second as well, Batwoman, The Flash, Martian Manhunter, and Sarah Lance there again. And then we get another shot of, we just got a couple of shots here, just showing all the different Paragons. I'll just scroll through them while I'm talking. So the area that they are actually in is the battle at the dawn of time. So this is straight from the Crisis comic. In the comic in Crisis, or the Crisis comic, it is a bit different in regards to who's there. There is one person who is definitely there out of the bunch, that we're going to see, take on here, in regards to the fight that we're going to see here, and that is that of the Anti-Monitor. You actually do get a look at. I think it's the only shot of him in this entire promo image release. I think it is. It's just him standing there, which we sort of got a glimpse of him in the trailer for this, but it's like sort of, he's in the distance. You don't get like a massively good look at him, and then there's some other shots of him throughout, this area. But where he is right there's like a shot of him in the trailer, in that position. But I think it looks pretty cool. I am excited to see how this battle at the dawn of time goes exactly, because in the comic, essentially, this is sort of what spurs on what comes to be, without spoiling it, you know what I mean? So what happens here, there will be some big stuff that goes on between Anti-Monitor and someone else, so say that will really spur on the future of the Arrowverse. I'm excited to see how they handle it, as well as just what happens with the Paragons, because I don't know if necessarily it's just going to happen and then they'll just awaken somewhere, or if they'll be transported. I'm intrigued to see how they do it, because Crisis is being done a bit differently. For those that have read it, you would know that in the comic, the whole multiverse wasn't destroyed. Earths were destroyed, but there was 5 Earths that remained. And then what happened is that those Earths ended up merging. So those 5 Earths merged together, and then we got this new existence post-Crisis. But at this stage, the entire multiverse is gone. So what happens? Is it just one Earth that's newly created? Or are we going to get a new multiverse with, whether it be 52 Earths or a couple of Earths? Who knows? Maybe 5 Earths. They might do the whole 5 number and make it that 5 Earths are created in this new multiverse post-Crisis, that we're getting on TV. I don't know what they're going to do exactly. I'm intrigued to see what they do. But it should be pretty interesting to see, what they do. Now, in regards to the Paragons, obviously the main one that you would notice a difference in is that of Ryan Choi, obviously, because, he doesn't, he doesn't. He doesn't lack facial hair. That's probably the best thing to use, the best term to use. He does have facial hair there. There were a lot of people saying, why doesn't Lex Luthor have it? Why doesn't Barry have it? I think with Barry, you could say, he's got his speedster powers, so I guess he can control that. But I don't know why Lex Luthor wouldn't grow more facial hair. It doesn't really make too much sense to me there, unless he decided to. Maybe he brought a pair of scissors along with him and was trimming his beard. Who knows what's happening there specifically with Lex Luthor? But it will be interesting to see, I guess, the use that Ryan Choi is in this Battle of Dawn of Time, because they're not just versing the Anti-Monitor here. Well, just him is going to be a big threat, but obviously there should be some shadow demons here as well in this fight, just like in the comics. So it'll be interesting to see like what he does. I guess maybe he's made a little bit of an invention, whether it has anything to do with the Atom side of him from the comics or something else. I'm interested to see what they do there, because it looks like he does actually fight in this bit. So who knows what they're going to do there exactly with Ryan Choi. But in the next bunch of promo images, we actually do start off with Ryan Choi, and they have this device here. Now it'll be interesting to see if what this device does in general. I'd have to think it probably is to get them to the dawn of time or something along those lines, or maybe track the Anti-Monitor and what he's doing, or maybe just to escape the vanishing point in general. Ryan Choi is the one doing it. You do see Lex Luthor there as well in another photo later on. So obviously you'd have to think that's the main reason Ryan Choi is here, is to help with that type of stuff, the brain side of everything. But I am intrigued to see what this device is in general, whether it is meant to be like a time travel device or like a locator or something like that. Let me know what you think in the comments in regards to what you think this device is. But we do get a bunch of shots of the heroes in the vanishing point. There's nothing really that interesting here. It's just them, I think, just looking upon probably Ryan Choi and maybe Lex Luthor doing their stuff. But the other shot, the one shot of major interest, I guess you could say, is that of Barry here looking a bit defeated. Now, we know that Barry's going to, quote-unquote, disappear at some point. We know that he's going to the Speed Force, so you'd have to assume that's where he disappears off to, is that he goes to the Speed Force. He meets Oliver there, and that's, the others just don't know where he went. Maybe that's what's happening here. You'd have to say that's probably what it is. Obviously, we do see Reverse Flash in the trailer that we got, just after Crisis Part 3 ended. So you'd have to think that's going to be associated there. What happens in this scene? It's up for debate. It could be a little quick battle. It could be like a lesson learned. It could be some information that Barry's to get. Who knows what's going to happen here specifically, but you have to think Barry gets a decent portion of this episode to himself, and maybe him and Oliver as well. But there was actually some stuff revealed about Crisis, a little bit of a teaser thing. Now, this is coming from, I think it was TV Line. And essentially, I had a little dot point thing in my little video here, which is how does Crisis wrap up and what to expect in the weeks to follow. And their sort of little teaser thing from their little article sort of basically relates completely to that. So they spoke to each of the showrunners for the shows, and they gave sort of a tease what's happening here. So with the Legends showrunner, they said it hits Sarah pretty hard, but in a good way that sets up her trajectory for season 5. Now, we'd already heard about how Crisis is pretty solely going to affect Sarah heading into season 5, while other people on Legends will be affected by what happens in Crisis. Sarah will be the major one that's affected, especially because of what's happened with Oliver most likely in this event, and that's going to affect her personally and emotionally. So yeah, it's mainly going to affect her there. For Supergirl, the showrunner for Supergirl said, for us, it really resets a lot of what's happening. It's fun to see what happens afterwards. Now, with that, you have to assume it has to do with merging Earths and what happens with Earth 38 in its history, maybe it being now on Earth 1 and Supergirl's located on Earth 1. Supergirl, as I said, is probably tied with Black Lightning in regards to changes. There actually is no Black Lightning stuff here. Unfortunately, it's just for the shows that had episodes, if that makes sense. But you have to think Black Lightning is probably going to have to deal with the same stuff. But it probably has to do with, Earths merging and things changing and surroundings changing. So I'm interested to see what happens there with Supergirl. With Batwoman, Caroline Drews, the showrunner, said that the Batwoman characters are in the dark about the multiverse and powered superheroes, but it nonetheless will have a shocking resonance for Kate Kane. Now, I think this might have something to do with maybe the events of Crisis, like her, accidentally killing, the Bruce Wayne we saw and various things like that, and just the experience in general should affect her. I don't know how it's going to affect Batwoman as a show, because they technically are in the past in the timeline. We'll have to wait and see what happens there with that show, because there are differently placed in regards to the calendar, if you want to call it. We'll have to wait and see. Mark Guggenheim hinted that during the remainder of the crossover, the Flash's Barry Allen will do something that is very significant that will have ramifications for the remainder of season 6. Now, at first, I thought like there'd be like little to no changes for the Flash, if minor changes at most. But it seems like maybe Barry maybe time travels, maybe once the Earth is fixed, maybe he travels through history to see what's happening there and things change, or maybe he does something during this that maybe causes the villain for season 6. I don't know what they're going to do here. I might do a video specifically on this because I don't want to make this video too long, but I'm intrigued to hear that. What do you think is going on there with Barry specifically? Because it's very significant. That will have an effect on his show when he comes back. So yeah, I don't know what they're going to do there. And then Arrow showrunner Beth Schwartz acknowledged that, unsurprisingly, it changes literally everything on the flagship series, which is Arrow. So that's going to have to do with like the future stuff as well, and maybe some stuff we see in the last episode, the series finale. I don't know if they'll do too much there. I think that more mainly has to relate to the spin-off show that's coming later this year, and obviously that we will get the backdoor pilot for in episode 9 of Arrow. But yeah, it is going to be interesting to see what happens in these last handful of parts, these last couple of parts, in the last night of Crisis, and just what it leads into it afterwards. Because we're going to be getting more cameos in, I think, part 5. I don't think Guggenheim really suggested part 4. It seemed like he was really hinting towards part 5. So apparently there are quite a few more surprises in regards to cameo. I think he said like, I don't think he gave an exact number, but like around 5 or 6 maybe, like is what he was hinting at. Stargirl is definitely one of the cameos you would expect, but I'm interested to see what else we get there, and whether they're cameos that maybe hint at future shows as well. That'd be pretty damn interesting. But I can't wait for these final 2 parts to come. We should get a proper trailer for the final parts, hopefully a week from when it starts. That should be this coming Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on where you live. Tuesday if you're in America. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they do there and what they show us and just what happens. So not long to go, just around a week and a half, and we'll finally be done with Crisis and be moving forward into the future of the Arrowverse. But thanks guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over, and of course if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.